You're having a good day. A really good day. The sun is out, your coffee tastes just right, and for the first time in a while, your mind feels quiet. You're scrolling through your phone, maybe laughing at a meme or catching up on a friend's story, and then you see it. Their name. It's just a tag in a photo, a comment on a mutual friend's post, maybe even an accidental like on one of your old pictures. It shouldn't be a big deal. It's just a name. But your stomach plummets. Your chest tightens in that all-too-familiar way, and that quiet in your mind is suddenly a roaring, chaotic mess. Suddenly, you are right back at square one, and the good day is just gone. If that sounds even remotely familiar, you're in the right place. We tell ourselves we've moved on. We tell our friends, our family, and most convincingly, we tell ourselves. We change our relationship status, we delete the photos, we might even force ourselves to go on a few dates. We perform the part of someone who is over it. But our subconscious, our nervous system, and our deeply wired emotional patterns often have a very different story to tell. Moving on isn't just an action, it's a deep, internal process. And sometimes we get stuck long after we think we should be free. It's exhausting. It feels like you're trapped in a loop you can't seem to break. Today, we're not talking about the obvious signs, like crying every day or refusing to leave your house. We're going to decode the subtle, hidden psychological signals your mind and body are sending you. These are the signs that you're not just grieving, you're stuck. These are the 7 hidden signs it's been too long, and it's time to truly, finally move on. Recognizing these patterns isn't a reason to be hard on yourself. It's the opposite. It's the first, most powerful step toward genuine healing and reclaiming your life. So if you're ready to understand what's really going on inside, let's get into it. Sign number 1. You're stuck in the phantom relationship. The first hidden sign is that you spend more time in a phantom relationship than you do in your actual life. So what's a phantom relationship? It's the one that exists entirely in your mind, a constant reel of what-ifs and if-onlys. It's the endless loop of replaying conversations, searching for hidden meanings in things they said months or even years ago. You're not just remembering the past, you're actively trying to rewrite it. You think, if only I hadn't said that one thing during our last fight, or what if I had been more supportive of their career? We'd still be together. This isn't just casual reminiscing. This is a full-time, emotionally draining job. You lie in bed at night and construct entire alternate realities. You imagine bumping into them at the grocery store and having the perfect, witty, charming conversation that makes them realize what they've lost. You fantasize about them showing up at your door in the rain, confessing they made a terrible mistake. These daydreams feel comforting for a moment, like a warm blanket. But they're a trap. The psychology here is that your mind is stuck in a stage of grief called bargaining. This is a defense mechanism. The breakup was a situation where you felt a huge loss of control. By replaying these scenarios, your brain is desperately trying to regain a sense of power over a situation that was, in reality, out of your control. It's an attempt to solve an unsolvable puzzle. The problem is, while you're pouring all your energy into this phantom relationship, your real life is passing you by. You're not present with your friends, you're not engaged at work, and you're certainly not open to the possibility of a new, real, tangible relationship. The emotional investment is still going to someone who isn't there, starving your present of the energy it needs to grow. Does this sound familiar? Are you the director, writer, and star of a movie that only plays in your head? If so, that's a clear sign you're emotionally stuck in the past. Sign number 2. You've become a digital archaeologist. The second hidden sign is that you've become a digital archaeologist, and your ex's life is your main excavation site. Let's be honest about what this really looks like. It's not just a quick glance at their profile. It's a deep, obsessive dive. You tell yourself you're just curious, but an hour later, you find yourself 87 weeks deep into their Instagram feed, analyzing the smile of the new person in their photos. Is it a real smile? Do they look happier than they did with you? This behavior goes beyond their main page. You check their tagged photos to see what they're really up to. You look at the profiles of their friends, their family, and even that one coworker they mentioned once. You check to see if they viewed your Instagram story, and your heart either leaps with a hit of validation or sinks with the pain of being ignored. This constant monitoring keeps you connected, even if it's a painful, one-sided connection. It's a way of having a presence in their life without actually being in it. The psychology behind this is about two things. First, it reinforces a damaging belief that what you had was irreplaceable. By constantly tracking their life, you're looking for evidence to prove this. You might see a photo of them at a restaurant and think, they never looked that happy when we went there. You see their happiness as a personal loss, which only deepens your own feeling of being stuck. Second, this is a form of self-soothing that has gone wrong. The uncertainty of not knowing what they're doing can feel terrifying. Checking their social media provides a false sense of knowledge and control, but it's like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. It gives you a moment of relief, followed by an even deeper, more painful craving. Each time you check, you're telling your brain that this person is still the center of your universe. You're not moving forward. You are just watching someone else move forward without you, and it's one of the biggest signs that it has been far too long. Sign number 3. You memorialize the past. The third hidden sign is that your life has become a living museum dedicated to the memory of your past relationship. This goes beyond just keeping a few sentimental items. This is about actively and regularly engaging with relics from the relationship in a way that keeps the wound from closing. You tell yourself you're just feeling nostalgic, but you find yourself frequently rereading old text message conversations, smiling at the inside jokes and feeling that familiar pang when you get to the last messages. You have a specific playlist of your songs that you listen to, not to process the sadness, but to relive the feeling of being in the relationship. You wrap yourself in their old hoodie that you forgot to give back, not because it's comfy, but because it still smells, ever so faintly like them. You might even find yourself physically drawn to places that were important to your relationship. You take the long way home, just to drive by their apartment. You go to your coffee shop, partly hoping you'll see them, but also just to sit in that space and remember. These actions have become rituals, and these rituals aren't helping you heal. They're keeping you in a state of suspended grief. You are curating an environment that makes it impossible to forget and impossible to move on. The psychology here is rooted in how our brains process love and attachment. When you were in the relationship, interacting with your partner, a text, a touch, a shared laugh, triggered the release of dopamine and other feel-good chemicals in your brain's reward system. The relationship ended, but the neural pathways that expect that reward are still very much active. When you engage with these relics, the photos, the songs, the old sweater, you're giving your brain a tiny, unsatisfying microdose of that old feeling. It's basically a form of emotional addiction. Your brain is still looking for rewards that no longer exist, and engaging with these mementos is the closest it can get. It feels like you're staying connected, but what you're really doing is preventing your brain from rewiring itself to a new reality, a reality without your ex. If your life is a shrine to a love that's over, it's a powerful sign that you're not moving on. Before we get to our next sign, it's important to understand the powerful biological forces at play. Does it ever feel like letting go is not just emotionally hard, but almost physically impossible? There's a real reason for that. When we form a deep romantic bond, our brains are fundamentally rewired. Love isn't just a feeling, it's a biological drive. Our brains create powerful neural pathways associated with our partner. They become our primary source of comfort, safety, and reward. When that person is suddenly gone, your brain can go into a state of intense withdrawal. Neuroimaging studies have shown that the brains of the recently heartbroken show activity in some of the very same areas as the brains of people withdrawing from a substance addiction. Key reward and craving centers are activated, which helps explain why the obsessive thoughts and pain can feel so overwhelming. Your logical mind can know the relationship is over and that it was maybe even unhealthy, but your brain's reward system is screaming that it has lost its primary source of dopamine and oxytocin. This is why moving on feels like such a monumental struggle. You're not just fighting your feelings, you're fighting your own biology. Your body continues to react as if the connection is essential for survival. So when we talk about these hidden signs, We're really talking about behaviors we use to cope with this intense biological withdrawal. Understanding this isn't an excuse to stay stuck, but it should be a reason to offer yourself a profound amount of compassion. You're not weak or crazy for feeling this way. You are a human being, healing from the severing of a deep and primal attachment bond. And recognizing that is a crucial part of the journey ahead. Sign number 4, the false hope of getting along better. The fourth hidden sign is one of the most deceptive because it often looks like progress. The sign is this: your interactions with your ex are gradually getting better. It sounds positive, right? You've gone from angry, painful phone calls to civil texts. Now maybe you're texting more often, sharing jokes, or even asking about each other's day. You might have even met up for a friendly coffee that felt surprisingly comfortable and nostalgic. You tell yourself, "This is great. We're so mature. We can finally be friends." But you need to ask yourself an honest question. Does it feel like friendship or does it feel like hope? For many people, this pattern is not a sign of moving on, but a sign that the emotional bond hasn't faded. It's a slow-burning fire of unresolved feelings on one or even both sides. Every friendly text, every shared laugh, every "how have you been?" acts as a little piece of kindling on that fire. It keeps you emotionally tethered, making it incredibly difficult to fully let go. This is especially true if your ex is the one dropping subtle hints, initiating contact on your birthday, asking friends about you, or holding eye contact just a little too long when you see them. These are emotional breadcrumbs, and they can keep you in a state of suspended animation, waiting for a full meal that will likely never come. The hidden psychology here is that you're avoiding the second death of the relationship. The initial breakup is the first death. But the true end comes when you both accept that you are no longer a core part of each other's lives. This friendly phase lets you avoid that painful finality. It feels safer than a clean break. However, this prolonged connection often prevents the grieving process from ever really finishing. You can't mourn what isn't fully gone. You remain in a liminal space, no longer partners, but not yet separate individuals. It looks like maturity, but it's often just a prolonged attachment that delays real healing. If you find yourself energized and full of hope after a friendly chat with your ex, it's a powerful sign you're not moving toward friendship. You're still emotionally invested in the relationship. Sign number 5, your emotional body is stuck in the past. The fifth hidden sign is the profound disconnect between your logical mind and your emotional body. Intellectually, you know it's over. You can list all the reasons it didn't work. You can tell your friends, with complete sincerity, we're better off apart. But your body hasn't gotten the memo. Your nervous system continues to react as if the connection is not only alive but essential. This is the core of feeling stuck. The war between what you know and what you feel. This shows up in powerful, involuntary physical sensations. It's the tightening in your chest when you drive past a restaurant you used to love together. It's the sudden, sharp intake of breath when you smell a perfume that reminds you of them. It's your heart racing when a notification pops up, and for a split second, you think it might be them. These are not conscious choices. These are deep, somatic memories. Your body is still living in the timeline of the relationship, even as your mind tries to move into the future. The psychology here lies in the way our nervous system encodes attachment. Our emotional bonds aren't just abstract ideas, they are physically wired into us. Your ex was likely your primary person for co-regulation, the person whose presence calmed your nervous system and made you feel safe. When they're gone, your body experiences a deep sense of dysregulation. This ongoing state of physical reaction is your body's way of sounding the alarm, trying to get back to that regulated state it once knew. It's why, even months or years later, a simple reminder can trigger such a strong physical response. You can tell yourself you've moved on 1,000 times, but if your body still reacts like it's a fresh loss every time you are reminded of them, it's a clear sign that on a deep physiological level, you haven't yet let go. The emotional tether is still firmly in place, and it keeps pulling you back. Sign number 6. Your world has become dangerously small. The sixth hidden sign is subtle but destructive. Your world has become smaller since the breakup. Think about it. Before, You might have been excited about trying new things or meeting new people. Now, your focus has narrowed almost exclusively to the past relationship and its fallout. This isn't just about feeling sad, it's about a fundamental avoidance of new experiences. This can show up in many ways. Maybe you turn down invitations to parties because you don't have the energy, or because you secretly fear you won't have fun without them. Or worse, you fear you will have fun, and that feels like a betrayal of the love you lost. You might find yourself completely uninterested in dating, not because you're not ready, but because every potential new person is immediately and unfairly compared to your ex. No one seems as funny, as smart, or as interesting. You're not looking for someone new. You're looking for a replacement, and that's an impossible role for anyone to fill. The hidden psychology behind this shrinking world is that you re-clinging to the pain of the breakup because it has become a strange kind of shield. It sounds backward, but by staying fixated on this one major disappointment, you are unconsciously protecting yourself from any future disappointments. If you don't try, you can't fail. If you don't open your heart, it can't be broken again. Your obsession with your ex becomes a painful comfort zone. It's familiar territory. The grief, while agonizing, is a known feeling. The world outside of that grief, with its potential for new joys and new pains, is terrifyingly unknown. So you stay put. You keep your world small and manageable. This avoidance keeps you stuck and prevents the healing that can only come from creating a life that is bigger than the person you lost. If your life has been put on hold, and your world has shrunk to the size of your heartbreak, it's a critical sign that it's time to start building a new, bigger world for yourself. Sign number 7. You've become a supporting character in your own life. This brings us to our 7th and final sign. It's arguably the most profound and the most important one to recognize. The sign is this: you have disappeared from your own life. You have become a supporting character in the ongoing story of your ex. Your primary emotional focus, your energy, and your definition of progress are all tied to their journey, not your own. What does this look like? It means your sense of well-being rises and falls based on what they are doing. You feel a weird sense of victory if you hear they are single and miserable. You feel a devastating personal sense of failure if you see they are in a new, happy relationship. Their happiness feels like your loss. You spend more time wondering if they miss you than you do building a life that you would miss if you lost it. You are more invested in analyzing their healing process than you are in engaging with your own. Your identity has remained so tangled up with the past that your own personal growth has completely stalled. The psychology here is that your self-worth has become dangerously dependent on the ghost of the relationship. You are, in effect, outsourcing your value to your ex. Their continued interest in you makes you feel worthy. Their indifference makes you feel worthless. This is the ultimate sign it has been too long, because you haven't just failed to move on from them. You have failed to move back to yourself. You have abandoned your role as the main character in your own life story. You've handed the pen to someone who is no longer even in the room, letting them dictate the emotional plot of your days. Recognizing this isn't about blaming yourself. It's a wake-up call. It's the moment you realize that the most important relationship you need to heal and focus on is the one you have with yourself. Reclaiming your own life and becoming its protagonist once again is the final essential step to truly moving on. So there they are. The 7 hidden signs it's been too long. From being stuck in a phantom relationship and becoming a digital archaeologist, to memorializing the past, getting trapped by better communication, feeling that disconnect between your mind and body, letting your world shrink, and finally, becoming a supporting character in your own life. If you recognized yourself in one, or even all of these, please don't see it as a failure. See it for what it is, a moment of clarity. This awareness is a gift. It's the flashlight you need to find your way out of the dark. These patterns are powerful. They are rooted in our biology and psychology, but they are not permanent. Recognizing them is the first and most courageous step toward breaking the cycle. The goal isn't to pretend the heartbreak never happened, but to integrate the experience, learn the lessons, and refuse to let it define your future. It's about taking the pen back and starting to write your own next chapter. You deserve a life that isn't lived in someone else's shadow. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these signs resonated with you the most? Sharing your experience can be incredibly powerful, not just for you, but for others here who might be feeling the exact same way. Leave a comment below, and let's support each other. If this was helpful, please subscribe and turn on notifications for more content on understanding your emotions and building a stronger, more resilient you. Thank you for taking this time for yourself today. Be kind to yourself, and know that your new beginning is waiting.